I feel like personally, you're winning in life. You got the beautiful family, you got the wife,
Thank you.
your health, you got God in your life now. And a lot of people, like your later part of your years, should be cognizant of that. I mean, bodybuilding's not everything. It's a big chunk of our life, and it forms, and shapes us to the person who we could be. But there's more to it, like how you pivoted actually from like the whole bodybuilding to be like, I'm gonna be the most healthiest family man that I can.
Are you ready to
Yeah, we're
go? Oh
rolling.
yeah,
We've
we're
been, yeah,
rolling.
we've
Oh,
been, we've
okay.
been.
Well, here's another episode of
Oh, yeah.
Paradise Pump, and today we have our special guest, take two, Ernie Chang. What's up, brother Ernie?
What's up, brother?
Welcome back. Welcome back. We're gonna do this again. The last episode there was some audio issues, so
Same outfit and everything.
redo. I told him put on the same shirt, everything. We're gonna redo it. It's gonna be 95% about the same, maybe. We'll see. Maybe some extra add-ons.
Minus the fact that I have to pee and I have to
Yeah.
take a bathroom break.
That's great. Thank you, Jody.
You're welcome.
Anyways, what's up, bro?
Good to be back.
So let's yeah, man, we want to kind of give us a little bio about your history with bodybuilding. We'll talk about some career stuff, what you were doing, and just all that kind of stuff. And then we'll go into what you're doing now. So
Okay.
let's talk about how you got started in bodybuilding and everything, man.
So in '98, I started powerlifting with my friend, and then he said, "Oh, I should do strongman." I said, "You're out of your mind. I'm not doing no strongman thing." Because you see all those European guys, right? And they're like, "There's no
Yeah.
way." Well, we're powerlifting. He said, "No, there's a local one." So I started doing that, powerlifting, strongman. Got pretty big, of course,
Yeah.
gained about 50, 60 pounds.
How
And
big were
then-
you?
I was like, well, I'm biggest is 297, so more than
You never quite got the 300.
about 100 pounds.
Okay,
About
okay.
2-3 years, yeah.
Yeah.
And then around 2004, so Eric Yamashita kept telling me, Big E, kept telling me, you should do a show. I'm like, I don't want to get in like panties and like that's lame, man. Because I'm like, I'm like powerlifting, right? My mindset, right?
Yeah.
So he said, no, just try it out. You think you might have a good physique, whatever. So I decided to do a show, and that was 2005. I did Mai Tai's designer body,
Yep.
and Ben Carvalho did my diet, and I ended up winning. And so that's how I started. That was my first show. I always loved bodybuilding because when I was going through high school, people to get my age now, 89, but prior, like 86 or so, the Flex magazine started coming out, right?
Yeah, and like we talked about earlier, you had all like a whole montage of all of these
In my room,
people,
yeah.
Picture cutouts of.
I love bodybuilding. I was
Yeah.
kind of like a closet because I would always like the magazine, but I was so introverted and shy. I'm like, oh, I never could do that, but always liked it. So I kind of did powerlifting, but some bodybuilding kind of sort of through movements, even though I wasn't, full into bodybuilding or competed yet.
Well, you were pretty good on stage, though. I mean, I remember just a lot of the shows. You were pretty. You had a lot of charisma.
Charismatic.
You did the worm.
A couple times.
The worm.
Yeah, he did.
He did the
The only guy
worm.
who posed the whole
The
song, the
charisma.
3-minute song,
Yeah.
and did the
God.
worm in his skibbies.
He would
on
do the whole
stage.
song. Yeah, you did the extended
Full
mix.
3 minutes.
I told Guy, hey Guy,
Years.
I have this full on routine. I put a lot of time. Can I go a little over?
Little
He
bit.
ran it.
He
He
said,
ran
yeah,
it.
no problem. I said, all right. So
Yeah, I
I
remember
did
that.
do the worm because I used to be a break dance and a popper.
This guy
And,
too. He showed up to a
intermediate.
Christmas
Oh
party
yeah,
one
he
time.
could, yeah.
Just fucking starts doing power moves in the
You
middle of
wouldn't
dinner.
believe it, but yeah.
Break-
Shoulder roll and yeah.
You-
So
Oh no, like full on windmill.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was back in the day.
In his like high socks with candy canes on them
that's
in the
nice.
middle of dinner time.
That's so funny. I might have had a couple drinks. Who knows?
Who
Nah,
knows?
he was sober. He's just weird.
So,
Just
like, I want to go back a little bit. As far as your powerlifting and your strongman, who was your biggest influencer in regards to that? Had you competed in strongman? And tell us a little bit of your history in regards to.
My training partner, Brett Azumi, he was an animal. Like this guy was insanely intense. But it was this guy, oh my gosh, I'm a brain fuck. I don't know if it's a Welsh guy or something. He was only like 6'2", 250, and he insanely strong, like 900-pound deadlift.
Oh, geez.
He won the World Strongman. It was right around that Jocko Ahola.
Oh, that guy.
You might know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't that big looking because he's 6'2", 6'3", 250. That's not that big for a strongman. but he was insanely strong. He won it maybe 2000 around there, 99, 2000.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
So I
Yeah.
look I thought that guy was pretty awesome. I like
Yeah.
that guy. Yeah. Yeah. That was one
Yeah.
of the guys I always looked up to. Olds too, locally. Old
Mhm.
Hogan. Old
Yeah, we
Oh,
talked
Olds.
about
Everybody
that
was
as
going
well.
Olds, right? Yeah.
I remember seeing you guys come in when I was I think a sophomore in high school working part-time at 24 Fitness
so
when it was called Gold's Gym.
Oh yeah,
And
Old Gold's
Old was
Gym. Yep.
huge on
South
powerlifting
Street.
at that
he
time,
Yeah.
was.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I see you guys come in and be like, holy crap, these are fucking monsters of guys, like monsters of men.
That was funny back
Tony
in the
Tony
day.
Beatu, is
Oh yeah,
powerlifting. He's in the
Tony.
Olympics too.
He's
So
big.
if trained around those guys too. So they were pretty super inspiring, of course.
So was your powerlifting and your strongman, was that a good base for you to start accruing strength, muscle, and kind of pivoting into bodybuilding?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because we all know that if you have some kind of power background, transitioning as a base into bodybuilding, that's usually because you're not going to get that thick, dense muscle unless
Mhm.
you put some heavy weight to it. You know what I mean? You could,
Oh yeah.
like if you're doing cable crossovers from day one, like you're not going to have that thick density. You only have that, if you have been doing some kind of heavy, well, it doesn't have to be powerlifting, but some kind of heavy training, squatting especially, legs.
Mhm.
That's like,
I think too, though, it's like mentally coming from that background, you just have like a better perspective of doing hard shit.
oh yeah, of course, for
You
that
know,
too. Yeah,
like
definitely.
so you
Yeah,
have that
mentally,
when going into
absolutely.
bodybuilding, especially, right? Like if you
Yeah.
kind of just start off and you see it more so nowadays.
Nowadays, I'm
You
sure
see it a lot, right?
nowadays.
Like
Yeah,
guys just like they never set foot on a stage, but like they come into it immediately like I'm gonna do bodybuilding, I want to do classic physique, and I want to win this show, whatever, X
Mhm.
show. And then the thing is like they just go straight to like very basic kind of bodybuilding finesse
like
movements.
leg extensions for a mass builder.
Yeah,
Not gonna
yeah.
cut
No,
it.
dude, like go hit
No,
some
you
big
see a
fucking
lot
Unless
of
you have
that.
some
squats.
phenomenally
Yeah.
Yeah.
ridiculous
Genetics.
genetics. Yeah,
Like I
but
guarantee every
most
single one
people,
of
yeah,
us at this table right now has done
squatted,
some crazy amounts of squats.
squatting
I
heavy. Yeah,
did a lot of power building
yeah,
before bodybuilding.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, a
And
You
lot of
got to.
these
You
a
really
lot of these
do.
guys are doing a lot of like isolateral
They're
movements
there's
doing
and
nothing
stuff.
wrong
isolation
with
movements
it,
from
but
day
Like
it's
one.
they're
just
well, no, but
It's
they
not
don't
but
gonna.
you
even
have
have
to do all
well,
the
they don't have a
basic
thick
shit.
Yeah,
base yet. Like
exactly.
they haven't built that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're already doing those so early on. It's like,
Hmm.
dude,
you
like
don't have
put
the
some muscle
density.
on. Yeah, put
Yeah,
No.
some muscle on.
because even now, like I mean, I'm 54, but when I was like made 40, I thought, oh, one day I'm gonna be so skinny with the way and I have nothing left of me. But I have a lot of muscle on me. Like, I'm skinny, but it's a lot. I have a lot of
What do
dense
you weigh
muscle
now?
from 190. Yeah.
90.
Skinny?
Well, yeah.
Oh,
So
well, now
I
you
still have a
skinny?
lot of like dense
Yeah.
muscle. I'm kind of
Well,
shocked
you're
at
what,
like,
5'11", right? You said
yeah,
5'10". Yeah,
yeah,
so that's pretty good.
That
That
picture
is
that
that
I
is
brought
scary.
up the last time you were here, the ones that both of you guys were bicep flexing
oh
and
yeah,
Angela
that
was
was a while
hanging on
ago.
you guys, how heavy were you back then?
I was like 230. I
That's
230,
was
and
it?
you're
kind of
one,
5'11",
no, but what's your weight right now?
190. That's a big. Look how big he
40
is in that thing.
pounds. Yeah, how heavy were you? Do you recall?
240
He's
probably.
got helium in his muscles though.
Probably 240,
At
250,
least 240,
somewhere
You
in
guys
there,
'cause
were
that
so
was
huge.
somewhere in that range. Yeah,
Damn.
because we were decently
that was
lean.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We were
yeah.
decent. Like
but you
that
can look at
was,
me. I'm not like lean
yeah,
as now, but
yeah.
yeah, I was still. Yeah, I was like 220, 230. Yeah.
Because yeah, that was probably
We're
after a
training.
show. That was probably somewhere in between one of the shows
Yeah,
or
because you're on
something.
the leaner side.
Yeah, because we
Yeah,
were leaner.
but you're still back then. We were like I'd say 240-ish.
Because you did Hawaiian Islands and you did Paradise Cup, right? Like,
2000, yeah, 2005 Designer Body. Then I did Paradise Cup 2007,
mm,
and then
That was the last Paradise Cup, right? 7,
2010.
10.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah, 2010. Then I did the Islands
that was
2009. Yeah,
yeah, the last one at the Sheraton was, I think that was 2015.
Oh,
Was the last one, yeah.
Well, they did the
Think so.
Blaisdell one.
Oh no, sorry, 2015 was the Blaisdell. You're
Yeah.
right.
I think-
2014 was the last one. I did it.
Yeah.
So that was because in 2015, you're right, they did go to the Blaisdell.
Blaisdell, they went too hard too fast and
Yeah,
it
it
did not go
crashed.
well.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right. That's
Paradise
right.
Cup.
Yeah,
well, you know,
2014.
then the whole thing with the promoters having had health problems and God bless
Mm.
his heart, both of them, both
yeah,
of the
yeah.
guys.
It's so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
sad.
and
Yeah.
then that other dude, Mark, I don't remember.
Pacracco.
He's the new promoter for Paradise Cup, but it's not an NPC sanctioned show anymore. So I don't.
Pacaro, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
yeah.
he still the promoter? No. Not anymore.
I'm
I
not
don't. I haven't
certain.
talked to him.
I did Paradise Cup 2000 8, and Guy Leong, so he was like one of
Yeah.
the original promoters, right? You know,
Yeah, Greg left court.
R.I.P. Super great guy. He actually covered my entry fee for me, and I was
Wow.
18.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wow,
Wow,
that's
that's
very
cool.
nice.
that was
Yeah,
pretty
Yeah,
cool.
he's
very
super. He's a
nice.
super cool guy. Super
And
cool dude.
I ended up
Very
in
sad.
second,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's
he
good.
was
Because
super nice, just like really supportive all
oh
the
yeah,
time.
he
Just
is very down to earth.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it was really funny because actually, like, I ended up meeting his daughter through like other work stuff, like years later, and like she's super sweet too. And then I noticed her last name, so I'm kind of like, oh, do you know anything about bodybuilding? And then she was like, yeah, my dad, he used to
Oh
promote this
wow.
show. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like I actually knew Guy, so it was like this cool like connecting
Yeah.
moment. But then
I remember going to the Paradise Cups, seeing you guys compete. Biggie, like I don't know if you guys remember, he like didn't he like jump off the stage and start posing in the crowd
He
and
would
like
do
yeah, he
that.
Yes, he
did.
would do
Yeah,
that.
He
Yeah,
would do
he's a
that.
very big
Yes.
personality.
he had a big
Yes, he would
That's
do
why he's
personality.
that.
Big E.
But you guys all like that, your guys' era of bodybuilding, you guys were all so charismatic. Kind of missed that a
Insane.
because
little
it's
bit.
part of it. That's the thing. It's a
Well,
It
I'm
show.
just
should
saying that
be.
I
Yeah,
missed
because
that
It's a
part of the
exactly, it's
show.
a show. I was
bodybuilding.
like, I wanted to do a
Bodybuilding isn't
good
just in the
job of
gym.
posing,
Yeah.
So I would watch Melvin Anthony, like,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, he'd carry the CD player, back then, and practice, and I would just
Love it.
look at it, just keep replaying it, and just copy, and just try to just keep practicing, look in the mirror, and it's very
Exactly.
time consuming. But
Oh
if
yeah.
you want to, like you said, it's a presentation. You diet, you do all that training, like you want to present yourself well,
Hmm.
Let's go up there and
Exactly.
be like making stuff up, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So
I think that's like one of the most disrespectful things that anyone could do when they step on stage, to be honest,
yeah,
is just like not do a whole lot. The music's just
and
background
people know
noise.
that you didn't practice
Yeah.
when
They like
you can tell
you can
you
tell,
didn't put
but
in
then it's like
time.
you also get those people who show up who don't know anything about bodybuilding, and then like you give them a bad experience. Like
Yeah,
also on
exactly.
top of that, like just ticket to be at a show is not cheap.
Yeah,
You know?
Well,
true.
I think the issue nowadays is because there's so many different classes now, right?
Yeah,
Before there was only a few, right? It was like
yes,
bikini, maybe not even bikini. Actually, it was like
It was
figure,
figure
It
and
was
two
yeah,
piece.
it's
fitness,
figure
They
and
had
yes,
they
bodybuilding.
fitness.
had the monosuit and then
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was it.
one piece,
So,
two
class.
so
piece.
people could present. They had more time to pose, to present it. Now, I feel like, I mean, especially in national shows, you just rush through.
Yeah,
They
you
don't.
get
They
10
don't really
seconds.
even care about your posing routine. Like it's just like get up,
20,
hurry up,
20
and go.
seconds.
You're
You're
basically
done.
judged on your
Next.
compulsory poses. That's
Yeah,
it.
yep.
Like there's
yeah,
no
that's 20 seconds.
whatever you do, we don't really care about it. It's just get up, hurry up, because we're trying to get everybody through because we have so many divisions, so
Like
many people.
400 people
That's what I
at
think
national show,
where I think the sport has
400.
changed.
No, like when I competed in
or
Las
more.
Like
Vegas,
a
it was like a
thousand,
1100.
11,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
2 day
Yeah,
show
yeah.
in Vegas.
See, and it
That's
kind of, honestly, it
crazy.
kind of killed the sport a little bit. Like as
It
far
did,
as
yeah.
the part where it was entertaining, right? Because it's just like, okay, you have so many different divisions, so many people, and you have to rush it.
And handing out pro cards,
So,
like, no
oh,
big deal
like,
anymore. There's no prestige
like
to
Yeah,
it's
it
that's the
anymore.
candy.
thing.
Yeah,
Exactly. It was because
I'm
before
not,
us, yeah,
yeah.
it
it
really
was
took a
hard.
lot of the prestige out of it. Because nowadays,
Yeah.
kind of like you're a pro. I'm like, what kind of pro are you? Like, 'cause I'm
Yeah.
like, there's only
You're like,
Yeah.
so
this
what? I
person
don't
doesn't
even
even look like
care
they're a pro of
anymore.
anything. They're like, oh,
Let me take
what?
that
And I'm
pro
like,
off from my bag then right now.
okay,
Hey.
yeah. So yeah, before,
Ah,
especially the Bible, like the USA, like you could only there's only one.
there was
Yeah,
only
it
one
was
bodybuilder.
Overall,
overall.
Yeah,
one card,
it
that's
was
it.
tough. It was
And so
tough.
you had to be really the person to get that
Yeah.
spot. Like, as far as like,
First
like,
year I ever went
Yeah,
to
but
it was
USA's, it
tough.
was top 3, so a little bit past
they
the
already
overall
changed,
only.
yeah.
It was like
So
top 3 in
Mm,
the
yeah,
overall,
mm,
and it typically kind of went to like middleweight and up,
right.
probably,
yeah,
but most likely like light, heavy, super heavy. And then it became like the winner of each class. Then it became the
It's like
top
the
2 of each
nationals.
class, and it's
Yeah.
just like, come on, dude. Like,
No, it's all about money.
they
It's
just they
money.
just
It's
want
all
It's
about
it.
money
members.
because
It's
NBC,
members.
win or lose, they don't care. You just
you
still
might
make
be
because you
careful
got to
about
pay the
saying that out
fees.
here. Like,
I mean,
it's
this is the truth. I mean, it is. When you think about it, right?
It's
It's
a
the bikini.
business.
It's
well,
business. It's a
yeah.
Yep.
lot of
I
money.
mean, you might get threatened by some people like myself that would, they threaten you with, oh, you want your client to turn pro, don't you? You want your client to do well as a pro.
Right. Yeah.
Well, my best friend is so and so president of the so and so organization, and I can put a word in. It's just like, really, dude? Like,
That's funny.
I have an opinion. You can have one
Yeah.
too. Anyways, moving
Yeah.
forward.
So
Out of darkness.
Yes,
so
I've been
let's go into your career because I know you were a police officer for a long time, right?
25 years.
Yeah. And I mean, how did that work with, bodybuilding and, those hours you worked? I know you worked a lot of weird hours and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I used to work like 60, 70 hours a week normally.
Yeah.
But when I had the show, I would take a month off prior to the show.
Oh,
I took
okay.
my vacation because there's no way
Yeah.
you're gonna diet, eat your food, and going to work.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just kind of not really safe because you're at times, especially the last 2 weeks, just like so out of it, right? Like when you get into a fight with somebody, like you'll tear something. So that's why I took at least
Well,
2 or 3 weeks off.
because
That's
I think we had
yeah.
talked about it before, but because I remember that I'm trying to remember there was that one show. I think it was the Hawaiian Islands, and I don't know why. I think we were working out kind of
At
on and off,
24 in the
on and off.
at night with
Yeah.
Piolani.
Well, there was two stories with this, right? One was the whole you were like, I think it was like the day before the show or 2 days out, and you're like, "Hey, Mark, can you look at me?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I looked at you, and I was like, "So what are you doing?" And you're like, Saturday." And then I was like, "Oh, okay, it's Thursday." I was like, "Yeah, no."
This
So
and
I
next
don't, I
month
don't
Saturday.
know, like 6 Saturdays from now. So I remember telling you, well, let's just go eat. And
Forget it,
I was
dude.
like, have some spaghetti. And I was like,
Okay, let's go eat.
carb it up and let's just go eat and enjoy our night. And you're like, sounds good.
It was a good idea.
And it was a good,
Like,
at least you, and you still
hilarious.
look decent. I mean, whatever. But, but there was the story about you almost dying at 24 Hour Fitness,
Oh
right?
yeah, because you and I were
With the
training,
pre-workout.
and you're always pushing me like it's the last day of ever.
Well, it was leg
Yeah,
day.
I mean you're always like that
Yeah.
anyway.
We were
You
doing
train
like
hard. Yeah.
heavy leg
So
day,
we're
high
doing
reps.
squatting. We're doing
Yeah.
heavy to other people, but for us, we train pretty hardcore like that. Where we're doing heavy. Well, we're doing 315 high rep squats.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
Yeah,
like
in that
30.
corner,
Yeah.
that's where it has all the racks. But I did like 20 something, and you did like 30. But it was this one set where you just kept pushing me, and then after I finished, I was like, my heart was
but
it
the
just kept going.
prelude to that, how much pre-workout
I
did
took
you
that
take?
pump thing that
Jacked.
jacked that
Yes.
there were a lot of people that
The
actually
one
did
that
die from that.
that got
People
banned.
did, yeah, they
Yes,
got
they
banned later.
did.
Didn't they find
So
like
I
Yes.
an
took
amphetamine salts in there or something? Yeah,
Yes.
that
that's
would do it too,
insane.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I
So
took
your
the
heart rate didn't go down.
some heart rate just stayed elevated, and
Yeah.
I was like, dude, my heart rate's
Yeah.
not going up. It was like, it just kept it. I mean, not going down.
Yeah.
It just kept
Yeah.
going. It just wouldn't come down. I was like, oh my gosh! And I lied down over there, right in front of the rack for a little while.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't go
We
down. And I'm like,
we refused to call
"Are you all right?"
the
I'm like, well, let me
ambulance.
finish my set.
I know.
So he's doing
I
his
think about it
set.
now. It's so like I was just like,
Well,
I'm
it's
just
right
gonna keep
there, and
working
he's
out.
doing his set.
I'm
And
gonna
then
keep working
I
out.
said, you know what? It must have been 20 minutes something, and it
Oh, at
still
least, dude.
was. I
At
was like
least.
thinking, I might die here, but it'd be cool though because I'm like, like a
Dying.
surfer die on a huge wave,
Yeah.
right? That's how I want to
Dying
go.
doing my set.
Doing a hardcore, set high reps,
Yeah.
315. So I went by the front registration desk and I lied down over there. I was probably there for another 10, 15 minutes, and he
Yeah.
came like twice to check on me between sets.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, dude. You might have to, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to you're gonna have to call the ambulance.
I know. I was like, man, I gotta
I was like,
call. We gotta call. Come
man,
on, bro.
it's
Pull it
scary,
through. Pull
So
it
you're
through.
sitting
Yeah.
there, and the thing just keeps going, and then finally, thank goodness, it started to go out. But yeah,
Yeah. Then that was it.
I never
That
did
was the
that.
last time you did
Yeah, I
jack.
never did jack. Yeah,
Especially on leg day.
not
Like,
on leg day.
God,
Yeah,
not a
'cause it
good
gets your
idea.
heart, your legs,
Well,
your legs, like
I mean, we were doing
people
a lot of
barf doing.
reps.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're doing high reps. We do that
Yeah.
all the time. That's like a
Yeah.
normal thing.
Yeah, I see that. A lot of people on leg day especially push so hard that they end up throwing up and
Right.
come back for
Mm.
more. And oh, you still gotta finish your shit. Like,
I
okay, let
just
me
I just had a
vomit
client
first.
do
Like
that 2 days
legs.
ago.
It's leg day.
There
Leg
you
day,
go.
man.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
nothing like leg day.
I don't see that much anymore. You guys are too weak, huh? Going through like leg days like
There's
that.
always
I just had a guy
random.
the other day do
Oh,
it, and he's like 21 or 22 years old. Like, but he came from like a strictly powerlifting background, competing since he was a teenager, and then
Oh, so he's
into
got that.
yeah. But
mindset.
like now he wants to do bodybuilding, and kind of
Oh, okay.
spontaneously too. Like he came to me like wanting to just get ready for meets, so he wanted to do powerlifting. But then he kind of like saw what other people were doing. He was like, "Hey, I'm in Iron Hawaiian Fitness. Like, shit, what, maybe I'll do powerlifting or bodybuilding." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm all about it. Just let's go." So like immediately, switch into it. First workout, leg day, and the guy pukes after like 2 exercises, and yeah. I don't see him. I don't see him again for a leg day until a month
Because they're
later.
used to doing 5 reps.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
resting
five,
for
at the
six
three
reps.
most.
minutes.
At the
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 to
most.
And then
5
you
minutes
went and did a
between
set of
Yeah.
sets.
20
And
and
a
he was
box
like,
like a box of
Like
donuts and a
zero
5 minute break. Like
cardiovascular,
well, that's the problem. Yeah.
zero pump in
That's,
your legs.
yeah, they have
so,
no
then we
cardiovascular.
do legs again 2 or 3 days ago. He actually finished the workout, which was awesome.
Oh, wow.
So last time he only got through one full exercise, like all 3 sets. We got through the second set of the second exercise and then he puked and then he was just done. This time he got through 4 exercises, got to the second set of the fifth, puked his brains out, which I had to go clean the bucket out, and then finished the set and then did one more exercise. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude. That's what I'm talking
There you
about.
go.
Like if
Bark
you
and
puke, you puke.
finish your workout. Yeah,
You're
barking has
done.
nothing to do with anything. You just bark and
Yep.
just keep going.
Yeah,
There's
man.
nothing like a bodybuilding drop set. Yeah, I
No.
remember. I
So
mean,
was Mark your sole training partner throughout your whole bodybuilding
No,
like
no.
career,
He had
or you had a
others.
few others?
yeah, he was later on. Like I
Oh,
was training with was Mike DeMarco and Mike Dragna.
okay, yeah, yeah.
So Mike, as he's
Oh,
notorious for his drop
yeah,
sets. And I
yes.
remember the first time I seeing him, like, what, dude? Like, we're gonna go 495 and go play it down? Like, what? Like,
Strict
that
set, yeah.
hurt. That hurt.
Yeah.
Like, it hurt. I mean,
Drag
like, I had that powerlifting, but it's different because you're not, like you said, we're not going like 5 minutes between, you're resting, drinking water, whatever. Like, you just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
Mike and
nuts.
I were training partners for about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, you train them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know how it
he
goes.
can push very hard.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
My favorite
Style.
days are when I was stronger than him. That was when I was really proud of myself. Because the guy's got stamina. Like there's
yeah,
he goes
does.
really heavy from the very beginning, and then he just stays heavy. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
get tired.
Yeah.
All the way to the very, very last thing. And then he's like, oh, my back hurts. And you're like, well, no shit. Like, we just did 600-pound squats and then a drop set all the way
That's
down to
Mike.
one plate and finished the last set 30 reps. Like, and then superset with walking lunges. It's like, holy shit. Okay.
Yeah,
But
he loves
Like
volume.
heavyweight
Yeah.
for high reps. Like what?
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
But
how
So
we train.
out of
you
curiosity,
don't get any
that
tougher.
how Mark brought up the whole police department thing that you were in before, and through your preps, what was your, because were you primarily on the road?
In the 2005, yeah, I was. Yeah, so that's why I had to take a vacation the month before.
So meal prepping, was that difficult for you, having to eat your food cold? Mm.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Mm.
I would mix protein shake with oatmeal,
Oh,
drink it.
just to get it
taste
in.
it. Yeah, I mean, that was,
Cold
do what you
chicken
gotta
and
do.
cold fish.
Yeah,
Well, you worked the
Yeah.
overnight, that's why, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it was the late.
Sometimes they could warm it up to the station, but sometimes you get cold and you can't. You might miss a meal here and there, but
Yeah.
eat it afterwards, But that's why I took that pretty much a month off, so I could have that time to just focus, not be, having to go to fight calls and then, you can be dehydrated, right? And then and you're kind of aggros too, right? So
Yeah.
more so you might be like, oh, get too a little
Oh,
excited about
boy.
going too
They're
close. So,
dieting.
yeah, so I could just not be bothered, right?
Because you were like the second, was your second or third highest DUI guy ever or something?
Yeah, he has one of the awards. Of
You got
placard on top
one
of
of the
it.
awards. To all you people who got DUIs.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
wasn't the highest number.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple guys that have like more than me, but I had as far as
Percentage.
consistency
Yeah.
over because my last 13 and a half years from 2008 to 2022, I had 1,460 DUI reps. So I averaged 108 every single year for 13 and a half years. So there's
Wow.
no officer that ever had that consistency ever.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's never been
How do you
done.
catch them? Checkpoints or?
Just driving around.
You
'Cause I
know,
worked at night, so I just drive around.
That's why-
Kapiolani,
Yeah.
decoy,
right there,
You had the
Kakalani.
overnight shift, so
Yeah.
that's why, right? Yeah.
10 to 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that-
I can
that
say
was the
now
route.
in the later part of my years, like, thank you for keeping the road safe, and thank you for not pulling me over. Because my cousin, who is was Hawaii Police Department, he was like, "Don't call me, don't drop my name. If Ernie pulls you over, you don't know me." I'm like, "Oh,
Oh,
fuck,
man.
all right." But thank goodness I never got pulled over from you.
I never got pulled over by Ernie, but I got stopped at a checkpoint once. And I was coming home super early, early in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning from work. And he pulls me over and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I just got off work." And he's like, I had taken the right turn from a left turn lane, but it was just because I was super freaking tired. And, so he brings that up. And then I'm just like, I'm heading home. I still have like my earpiece in from working as like a bouncer at one of the clubs. And he's just like, "Go home, go home." I'm like, "Okay,
It's like, I don't want to
get
deal
out
with
of
it.
here." He just didn't
I
want
don't
to
want
deal
to deal
with
with
me, which was
Jody.
great. I didn't want a fucking ticket,
Yeah.
but I also didn't want like piss him off because like we know each other. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, yeah, and that was the thing too, because we had sometimes we would train at 24 Hour Fitness, and then
Oh God,
there would be somebody in there. He's like,
that happened
"Oh,
often
I
actually.
gave that guy DUI. Let's go over here." And and then I remember just being like, because I didn't know, I was like, "Why?" Like, who cares? Like, you can DUI. I was like, "So what? We'll just work out over here." Like,
Oh yeah,
but then, no, but I remember you're just like, I don't want to deal with it, dude. Like, and then I was like, okay, well, whatever. And then you had one guy who actually was kind
yeah,
of
dude. I
nice
was
to you.
upstairs doing the
Yeah,
pec deck,
yeah.
and this kid comes up. He goes, like, right up to me. He's like, "Hey, do you remember me?" I'm like, He's like, "You asked me for DUI." I'm like, "Oh, cool!" Like he was so
Fantastic.
happy to, you know what I mean? Like we're friends from some. I'm thinking, really, dude? That's kind of awkward. Like you, but that's cool. I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad you're okay." He's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm fine." It's like, "Okay, see you later."
That's
But
funny.
that was pretty hilarious.
Maybe,
He was so
like
happy too.
Just
you
see you.
changed his
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
life.
yeah,
yeah.
I mean
You
that
arrested me,
that did
man.
happen
I
more
mean,
than often than not. I mean, on pretty much I would say 9 out of 10 times I arrested someone for DUI when I went to the station because I was always, very aware of, treating people with compassion.
Mhm.
Because like they got busted, got arrested. That sucks, right? It's like, you can't just berate them, right? Keep beating them down. Like they already got arrested. It sucks. They already know what they did. So I treat them with compassion. Just always tell them it's just a mistake. This doesn't make you a bad person. Don't think it's the end of the world. Like it's a mistake. You just, you drank a little too much and you got put over. Like, this is just, that's all it is. So don't, there's nothing else.
Yeah,
This is not like, it's not some felony. It's a
yeah,
misdemeanor.
yeah.
It can be wiped off your record down the road, but it's just a mistake. And it's timing. That's it. So they're all, yeah, and you're right. And so they always were very appreciative, actually. They're all, thanks for, doing your job and keeping me safe. So,
That's cool, man. Going back to bodybuilding though, like you were known as Mongo, right? You were the Mongo.
Tell us about the Mongo name
And well, and the first time I saw the Mongo was because you had those posters of
oh yeah,
in the
the
gym.
poster and
from
the
Dave.
shirts.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
yeah.
Dave
You
Silva. Yeah, it's my boy.
promoting
Yeah.
yourself for the Paradise Cup, which I thought was interesting
Kind
because
of
I
over the
never seen
top.
it.
It
I was
was
like,
his
what
idea.
is this? But
Yeah,
yeah,
so the Mongo is aware of it because when I was doing the strongman,
yeah.
the announcer one day just goes Mongo, and I'm like, what? Yeah, so he starts calling me Mongo, and I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even know what he's talking about. Then after I said, why are you calling me Mongo? He goes, dude, you're like the biggest Asian guy I've ever seen. You're like an Asian Viking. So you're like Mongo, like Mongolian. I'm like,
Mongoloid.
oh, cool, yeah, yeah. So ever since then, it stuck. So
Yeah,
people were calling me Mongo. I'm like, that was my nickname for the longest
that's
time.
funny.
Yeah.
And that last show you did at Sheraton, I still do have that Mongo shirt, that black and I think it was black and orange. I forgot what
That's
color it
right.
Black
was.
and
Yeah,
it's
he
white.
Yeah.
and there was white ones too you
Yeah,
made. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I
The
had
first one
some.
white was a real basic for the designer body,
Yeah,
and then the 2007 Paradise Cup.
the black.
Yeah,
Yeah, the shirt
when
thing,
I
man.
got
Yeah, because that
robbed.
was a thing. That was such a thing, right? Shirts.
Yeah, people
People
made.
are making
Yeah, I
shirts.
saw that. I'm like, oh, I can make
You know
shirts.
what was the funniest shirts though? I have to say, and not everybody did it, but I do know one person who did it, and I never wore a shirt because I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. It was literally a picture
Himself.
of himself posing on the shirt. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable wearing
Yeah,
this.
I
Could I
would.
Like,
ask?
like
I would.
it's different with the name, like, hey, whatever, so and so, like, okay, cool. But
was it
it
my
was
shirt?
literally a picture. No, it wasn't.
Was he selling the shirts to help fundraise to go to
Oh,
nationals?
I no, he wasn't going to nationals, but I think he was selling some shirts too, though.
Oh,
But I don't think he was going to national. No, he wasn't going to
because I
nationals.
know
There was
there was a
somebody else
moment
who
of
did
time
it.
that people were
Okay,
doing that as well too. Like, hey, help
fundraise.
me out,
That's
buy my
fine. I
shirt.
mean, that's fine.
I'm
Yeah.
going up to
I
nationals.
I just thought it was funny having the picture, like the full body picture of the person
Posing.
on the shirt. Yeah, posing. It's just interesting
Like
to
a
me,
photo
Like
picture?
yes,
Oh, okay.
not like a
Yeah.
cool drawing of it.
For a
Like
little,
you know how they make those
Yeah.
photo
Yeah.
like a cake, like a
Like the ones
birthday
that you
cake.
like
They put
iron
the
on
cake.
kind
impose.
of.
Yeah, the
Yeah, like
picture
it
right on
looked
your
like
shirt.
that.
Right.
Yes, and I was like,
For a local show.
yeah, and it was a local show, and I was
Oh,
kind of
That's
like,
a
I don't
little
know, man. I
bit
mean,
much. I mean, if you're a
right.
pro,
If you're a
hey,
pro,
hey,
Mr.
whatever.
Olympia,
Yeah, if
say
you want to buy
whatever.
shirts, yeah, but
Yeah, it was a local
yeah,
show, and
that's
I was
kind of.
like,
I
I was
mean, did
like,
he look good?
I mean, he looked
That's
good.
part of it
I mean,
too.
He looked
Like
good for the
that's true.
local
Yeah,
show. He looked
I mean,
good.
if you can put him on your shirt and you're gonna
pull
rock
it
it
off.
everywhere, like you might as well
I
look
mean,
like a
he wasn't
badass.
pro level, but I mean, yeah, he looked good for what it was. Yeah, sure.
talking about the self-promoting thing, when you were doing that with Dave, you guys were like way ahead of your time. And look at how much it evolves now as far as promoting yourself and like how social media and Instagram, you are your own marketer, right?
We
So
didn't
man,
have that back
yeah,
then.
you
Yeah,
guys
there
were
was no
ahead of
Instagram
your
back then.
time.
Yeah, Dave, because Dave was Revolution Motorsports,
Yeah.
so he put on all these car shows
Mm.
all the time. He's like, "Hey, dude, let's make a poster." I'm like, they don't do that for local shows. Nobody, that's kind of too much. Like, he goes, "Well, why not?" I'm like, okay, whatever." So he took the pictures from the 2005 designer body and like made this poster for me, and of course, I had a lot of shirts. I bought like 100 seats because this is my first,
God,
like,
yeah.
I mean, designer body, but that was a small show, but I was always, Practica was the biggest show in Hawaii,
Yeah.
It's still a
right?
lot of
So I
money.
wanted to have,
100 seats.
a lot of supporters, all my friends and family go there, so I remember a guy telling me, "Wow, dude," he told me, I've never seen anybody with so many supporters like you ever, because I must have sold like 100 shirts. And
Jeez.
so there was people like everywhere walking, not to mention my
With
section.
your shirt on,
Yeah, with my
right?
shirt on. I was like,
Everyone's
wow, this
rocking
is
your
What,
so
shirt.
cool.
what year was that again?
2007 Paradise Cup.
Oh, okay. That's
Steve
because I.
Preza
Oh,
beat
yeah.
me.
Because I did. I
Wow.
As
did
he always
oh
does.
08, but I went to 07, and I remember that.
Yeah,
And I
Paradise
was who
Cup.
the I was reading it. I was like, who the fuck is Mango? I was like, oh,
Mango.
Mongo.
Is it
Okay, and like,
true that you still bring up the Steve Preza win over you to Mark?
I
The
Every
have.
year.
Yeah,
boundary
it was just
About
recently.
every year.
about every
It'll be out of
Maybe
nowhere. Or
three,
maybe
four
every other.
months ago.
It'll come out of nowhere. Like it's literally I'll be hanging out and it'll just send me a text.
that
And it'll be
fucking
the
guy.
picture and it'll just be saying something. I'll be like, oh, here we go. He's in a moment right now. He's like, dude,
It would
oh,
happen.
there's no way,
It happens
bro.
every
Like,
year.
but no, it literally is.
he
Like
sends a comparison
no.
picture.
It's him and Steve on stage, yeah, and then
But
he'll say there's no way or he'll whatever. And I'm kind of like, okay, brother. Like,
Have
in
you talked
on
to
in
Steve recently?
retrospect though, go ahead. What you said?
I was gonna say, I was like, have you talked to Steve at all since then?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's
no,
nothing.
there's
It has
no
nothing to
bad
do with
blood.
him because
Yeah.
it's the judges. It's up
right,
Yeah.
to them,
yeah.
right?
It's
But
show day.
yeah,
It's
so I mean, he has a great physique. Has a nice taper. But I just felt like overall, I definitely beat him, especially from behind.
I mean, that's what they say.
Yeah,
It's
he
one
was a little
anyways, right?
drier. I mean, I was 100% by all means. I wasn't. I could have been drier for sure, but I just felt that the balance of size, muscularity, symmetry, and conditioning, I should have beaten him.
I wish we
Clearly,
could.
should have beaten
I
him.
wish we
I
could pull
felt
this
like there was.
picture up right now.
Oh, we got it. I got it somewhere. But wasn't that like his sixth time doing it or something?
That was a sixth time doing it.
Holy
Yeah.
So
shit!
yeah, so he
So,
did it a bunch of
and
times.
funny, a lot of my close friends told me, dude, you put up that poster, now the judge is gonna be like, this cocky mother effer, like now you're gonna have to be way better. Because there and I said, whatever. But whatever, politics, whatever. Who
And
cares?
how many years later? What is this? 2 decades later? About no, seriously.
Almost,
In
almost,
retrospect,
Like, how
yeah.
many years?
you're not to say that
2007.
you are, but you are winning in life. I mean, things happen
Thank
the
you.
way that it's supposed to
Yeah,
do. You have a beautiful family.
Thank you.
You found the
Thank
love
you.
of your
I
life.
did.
Dude, you're winning.
Pulling over. I
I
thought
would
she was
if
dealing.
you have to if you
Yeah,
yeah, we can
tell
get
us
into
that.
that
Tell
story.
us that. Tell
Definitely
us
get into
the
that story.
how did you meet your wife?
So, I mean, I pulled her over June 28th, Tuesday, June 28th, 2016, like 3 a.m. And I
She
was right in the
remembered.
middle of where am I gonna meet a girl? Like, I don't go out clubbing. I don't, at that time, I was just working. Like, that's all I do is work and sleep, go to court. That's all I could do. So, I pulled over on Holly Wheeler right off a ward. It was, like I said, it was a Tuesday morning. She was coming into town. So it's like, most likely on a Tuesday morning at 3 a.m., who's gonna come into town drunk? Leaving
yeah,
maybe, but then
yeah.
it's just Tuesday, it's not a weekend. But I
Yeah.
said, oh, you never know. So I pulled her over.
She work at like the PT clinic over there or something.
No, she's going to UFC because she worked out at like three,
Oh,
four.
okay,
She worked out at UFC at 3 o'clock in the morning. She's like one of those early birds, right?
gotcha.
Yeah. So I pulled her over and she wasn't drunk, of course. And she was just driving a little.
What
I think
what
because
made
she
you
had a
want to pull her
pre-workout in
over
the morning.
then?
Huh?
What made you want to pull
Well,
her
she was
over?
going over the lines a little bit, but there's nobody around,
Ah,
right? But she's going a little bit. So I thought going down ward. So I said, you never know. So I pulled over. And
Just in case.
yeah, because exactly, you just never know, right? So
or did you like run her plates, see her picture, and you're like, oh, I'm definitely pulling her over.
no, I didn't. I didn't. Usually you do, but I was like, there's nobody around, whatever. And I just. But the thing is, we didn't know of each other. Yeah, so it wasn't a complete stranger.
Mm.
So it's funny because
Okay.
my Hanai sister, my really close friend Brandy Lever, was trying to set me up with her
I know Brandy.
in end of 2015 at this baby
Yeah, that's
party, but
crazy.
she never not my wife never came because she was sick. Then I was trying to meet her the whole rest of the year, but it never happened. And so it's kind of like meant to be where it didn't happen until June. And the crazy thing is the beginning of June, I was going to church with my friend and she told me, just focus on God. Don't be trying because I was desperate. Like seriously, 2015, I was like going on
Yeah.
dating websites and asking my friends, oh, can you send me with somebody? I'm like, I'm super serious, and I was 45 years old. I'm like, I'm the only kid. I'm like, my dad's like, where's my grandchildren? Like Chinese thing, right? Like God, it's like that's it. That's the whole. There's never gonna be
Mm,
another Chang for the rest of history, right? Like, oh
hmm.
my gosh, the Chang's gonna die with you, right? So, but I just focused on God, and I was going to King's Chapel in New Valley, and I forgot about it. And I was actually in California beginning of June with my mom and my grandma eating yum cha. And asking me, oh, do you know anybody? Are you dating anybody? Are you talking to anybody? I go, nope. I go, you know what? I'm not even thinking about it. I don't know anybody. I'm not calling anybody. I haven't injured nobody. All I can tell you, mom and grandma, is I just feel in my heart with 100% certainty from my faith that before the end of this year, before the
Hmm.
end of 2016, I will meet my wife. And literally, I met her 2 weeks later. That's just crazy, right? Like June 28th, I stopped her, and two days later, I was like,
Wait. So you stopped her. You got to get into the details. When you went up to her window, you're like, "Oh fuck, it's her." Do tell.
so
Let's go.
yeah, I get up, I walk up, and she starts to like, hey, Ernest, and I'm like, hey, Way. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like completely caught off guard. I'm moving, and she's wearing a tank top, and she was training for a show, so she did a figure, and so her shoulders were busted out and stuff,
Hmm.
glistening, right? So I was talking to her for a little bit, 10, 15 minutes, and score. It's improper. You can't be on duty and asking out somebody, right?
Right.
So I just said, yo, you're on Instagram, whatever. So I said, okay, so just go ahead and um, get to the gym and what. So then I messaged her that morning, and I was actually, back a little bit. So right after I got back to my car and we drove off to UFC gym, Takako, right? I called Brandy and she didn't answer, but I called her. I just kept calling her like crazy person, like because she was at somewhere because she's in Tennessee with her husband, right? Brandy Curry. So she called me back like 10 minutes. She was like, "Are you okay? Oh my god!" I'm like, "Oh, Brandy, you wouldn't believe this, but I stopped weighing in." She just remembers like
Oh
it was
my
like I
God.
saw a ghost. Like I just couldn't talk. I was like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna be your wife." Like she's like, because she's never seen me like that before, right? She's seen like girls I try to date over the years, but yeah, so that was it. Like within 2 days, I was like, "This is I'm gonna marry this girl. Like this is
Wow.
for real."
Yeah, because
Sure
you.
enough, 2 months later, I
Oh
married
yeah,
her.
I met 2 months. That was.
September 3rd.
I couldn't believe it
Whamanow.
because we were supposed to because he was getting a brand new condo and I was supposed to be his roommate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Sorry,
literally it was like and it was
I
like
have another roommate.
I think it was like a few weeks. It was gonna be or like a month. It was coming up. And I was like, yeah, man, okay, I'm gonna move in because I was like, cool, that sounds great. And then yeah, he just literally calls me out of nowhere and he says like, "Hey, bro, I met this girl, this and that." And I go, "Yeah, when?" And it was like, "Oh, I met her like 3 days ago." I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "But yeah, I think she's the one." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, that's awesome." And then I'm like, "So what's up?" And he's just like, "Well, yeah, he didn't want to tell me. He's just like, "Yeah, well, I don't think you can move in now." And I'm like, "What?" And you're like, "Well, yeah, because I mean,
I'm gonna
probably
marry
gonna
her.
marry her." And I was like,
He's like,
dude,
what?
you just met her like a few days ago.
Get real.
And he's like, no, no, for real, for real. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, fine. And then of course, yeah, 2 months later they got married. So
So deep down inside of you, not anything against your wife, but as far as you as a guy, where you're like, what happened to bros before the H word? I'm not gonna say it on here. Bros before H word. Were you feeling like that? Like, frick you, Mongo.
no, no,
Were you
I was
happy? Were you
no, I
happy?
was more like
Mark
I
had
was
some
Guy.
biscuits.
I was like,
Mark was like, the
what?
fuck?
Yeah, I was like, what? And then I was kind of like, we'll
Concerned.
see. No, I was more
Yeah.
like, we'll see. we'll see what happens.
Give
You
it
know,
three
because I
months.
wasn't buying it right away, right? Because he had there have been
I
other
have a
girls that he had
track
met,
record of saying
and
I
I'm like,
met the
bro,
one.
yeah.
And it
So
wasn't the first time
I've
I
gone
told him
through
that. At
this.
least two other
Yeah.
times probably before that.
So I was kind of
Yeah.
like, all
Yeah,
right, you
for
know
sure.
what? I'm gonna give him some
We've
space.
heard this
We'll
before.
see. And then when I got the invitation for the wedding, I was like, oh my God, what?
This is for real.
He's really doing it. And it was funny because a bunch of us, a bunch, of his friends that we were all going
Angela
to the wedding,
freaked out.
we were all talking amongst each other. Like, we're like, is he for real? Like, is this girl cool? Like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Angela.
Do tell the story
No.
about Angela. Go ahead.
So yeah, she's like I've known her since she's 18 years old, and like she's always super protective of me. And I said, I'm gonna. She's like, well, she's like, what are you talking about? And I explained to her. She goes, okay, you know what? You do sound really serious this time because she's heard that before. Oh, I met the one, right?
Mhm.
So he goes, you know what? I have to sniff her out. I have to take her to lunch. Just me and her. I need to just feel her out, and just so I get my, intuition, right? So I tell Way, I said, babe, I'm just super protective of me, and so she wants you to just go to lunch, just you and her. She goes, oh, that's fine, she's laughing. So they go to lunch, and then after lunch, Angela calls me and says, you know what? I approve. I get it. She is amazing. And I'll never forget, she told me, if you don't marry her, I will. And that was it. So then the rest is history. Yeah, like we got married. I proposed to her August 30th, and we got married September 3rd.
Wow, that's quick. Like
Yeah.
right, immediately right after.
Because
So
what's
crazy.
crazy? So yeah, it was June 28th, right, when I stopped her. And then July, I told her mid-July, I said, by the way, we're gonna get married, but don't worry, something between now and before the end of the year. But I will ask you to marry me. So I prepped her
Yeah,
for
Oh
it.
my God.
And yeah, I said, and so August 30th, that's a whole nother funny thing, but I got up in my a Superman outfit.
yeah.
And I
Oh, I
yeah.
remember
Oh, I didn't
that
tell you remember
Superman
that?
thing.
Yeah, I didn't even bring
Yes.
that up last time. So
Oh, I
I
forgot
bought
about
this
that.
custom made Superman outfit and I had to tailor because my arms are too big for the thing. So to tailor the arms out and I had like puffy muscles in there. So I talked to the brother and the parents.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, so I drove because she was always like Superman. She's like Wonder Woman. That was like her, her nickname from her friends, right? Because she lifted all her friends don't work, but she works out. So I say, oh, how's it going, babe? Just I planned it out because I knew she'd be home. So I just went to visit her, and the brother and the parents are in on it. So I said, okay. So I flew it in. I have it all on video, everything. I got this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got it all on video. And so
I
I
remember it.
just came up and she comes down the stairs and she's like, I'll become in my Superman outfit. So I proposed to her in the garage, asked her to marry me.
Did you put like the Wonder Woman headband on her thing?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't do that.
Or the rope. The rope.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Lasso of
rope. Yeah,
truth.
she didn't
Truth.
have
I
rope.
got
The
you. I got
lasso
It
of
was just
truth.
me.
Now
Yeah.
you're stuck, woman.
But yeah, I mean,
That's a beautiful
That's
love
Superman,
awesome.
story. That's so
Superman.
awesome. And now two beautiful babies later too, huh?
My two daughters, yeah, Luna and Lola, both like really crazy
So
girls.
you're basically like you're a stay-home dad
Super
kind of
dad.
thing.
Yeah,
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 that's what you're
full on
doing.
stay home dad. It's a
Retired,
very hard
stay
job.
home. Yeah.
Some people think it's easy job, stay at home mom. Like, no,
Mm.
it's not easy job. It's not.
And so now, obviously you don't bodybuild anymore. You don't compete anymore. What are what's your goals? I mean, you're into life extension, you're into just
Anti-aging,
anti-aging,
yeah,
right?
biohacking. Yes,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So talk about that for a little bit.
So yeah, I mean, I was kind of into that like 5 years ago,
Yeah.
5, 6 years ago. I was already fasting.
Yeah.
And that worked really well for me with my crazy work schedule. And I knew that I had to get leaner and healthier because I was like, well, if I'm gonna, find somebody, right? Like, well, I mean, I was already, I would weigh, so I was like, it really made me think like, oh, I gotta really be super healthy because I have a wife now, it's a responsibility. And then I have, then when Luna got born in 2020, I was still working, I had 2 more years left, and I was like, I'm gonna start working out like totally differently once I
Mm.
get closer to retirement. So I have my friend Key Vong, Key Fitness Hawaii. He's been training as functional fitness for years, right? And I knew that I had to do that kind of training because it's kind of like hits the being functional and strength and especially cardiovascular,
Yeah.
so you to prevent a heart attack. So April, like I retired May 2020. April, I called him up. I said, dude, I got to start training again. And I've been training him for 2.5 years now, and I got I got into the best shape of my life. Like I would say not. I don't have the raw strength they did when I was 17, but overall, I would probably beat myself, my 17-year-old self at 54. I would say yeah.
So how many days a week are you lifting now or working out?
I only train with him, me and my wife, me and Wade train with him on Saturday mornings, 25-minute round. And then I do like two other workouts during the week, two or three like small, like it's not like micro workouts. It's crazy.
Like half an hour.
Yeah, less, sometimes less. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I got time to go downstairs and just do like some set. Where it's like I'm using a lightweight, I'm warming up as I do it. I'm warming up with a light set, I just keep piling on the weight. It'll be like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I'm done.
Oh
I
wow.
just do like one body part,
Yeah.
you know? And but I'll do sprinting or running. That's it. And I got like I'm like 9% body fat now. And I
I mean, most
never
of
even
that,
tried to do that.
most of that's probably just the eating habits, though, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of
It's
it.
going to
Yeah.
be the diet, the eating habits. I mean, that's really where it's all coming from, right?
High
From
protein,
yeah,
moderate carbs.
But for
yeah.
as minimal as you do, I mean, you said 9% body fat. I see your Instagram. You got like abs and you're shredded and
I've never been like this condition other than having a
doing less.
bodybuilder. Yeah, I would, because like you guys know, it's like you got a diet and you're like doing cardio almost every day, you know.
Hmm.
So unless you're super lean to begin with, but it's like,
Yeah.
and I would get so big in off season too. Joe tell me you should try to stay a little bit leaner off season. Of course, I never listened to him, right? Because he's like a serving of rice, but in Hawaii, a serving is a plate. Is
Yeah,
a
Three
plate
soups
of
it's
a
a
serving is like
mound.
this, but no,
Yeah.
no problem, Joe. I have one serving every meal's like
Yeah.
I've got like 100 grams of rice, so
with gravy all over.
yeah, exactly.
Oh
So yeah,
God,
and I
even
never
better.
did listen to him, so I had to pay the price, the extra card. I had to die for like 16 weeks usually.
But like I was mentioning to you earlier as before, like regardless of you placing second against Steve Preza, that you bring it up to you almost once a year, every year. Like I feel like
Ugh.
personally, you're winning in life. You got the beautiful family, you got the wife,
Thank you.
your health, you got God in your life now. And a lot of people, like your later part of your years, should be cognizant of that. I mean, bodybuilding's not everything. It's a big chunk of our life and it forms, and shapes us to the person who we could be, but there's more to it. Like how you pivoted actually from like the whole bodybuilding to be like, I'm gonna be the most healthiest family man that I can, for yourself, your kids, and all of that. So as far as making that pivot, did it take long for you to get into that new mindset where the body dysmorphia was just like, man, I used to be this thing before and now I'm this skinnier, shredded guy?
Yeah, the bigorexia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was hard. I mean, it was like, already from the early 40s, it was like, man, I feel run down. I'm like, I can't keep, squatting and using all these heavy weights. So it took a few years to come, like you said, just to change your mindset. It's like, oh man, I could do this way before. And it's like, you're so frustrated, right? But then
Yeah.
now it's like, I could care less. But yeah, it does take a lot of transition. Yeah, it's hard for a guy to, right? You have an ego, and we used to do such heavy weights. So yeah,
Yeah,
I can,
I get that.
yeah. I mean, he and I can relate to that too. I
it's
mean,
hard. It's hard. It's hard for men.
because like at one point I was like at 260
Oh my gosh, dude.
and
Yeah.
just really heavy and strong and all that fun stuff. And it's like would warm up on incline dumbbell presses with like the 120s and like that was the warm up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then
So we
now
don't
it's
even
like
get to
I
that
don't even
last
think about the
set.
120s anymore, you know?
So
But
besides your functional training, when you do lift weights at home, what type of style do you do now? Just more moderate exercise, lighter weight, contracting and really concentrating on your form and technique versus when you used to lift with Mark?
Yeah, I'm doing instead of doing like that type of traditional weight training or body, I'm doing stuff that's more like functional, like the movements. Like like I might squat, but I'll squat like split stat. Because life is not, just you're never just in
One
one
dimensional.
time exactly. So it's the regular thing is that you're just in one plane, right?
Mhm.
You're trying to isolate, but life is not like that. So when you're moving, you're carrying your baby, like you're moving around like this. So a lot of movement is unilateral. A lot of unilateral stuff, or like chest day. Like I don't really do dumbbells that much. So I might do like dips, weighted. What I'll do the balls, the slam balls, with throwing it and catching it, like that isometric kind of plyometrics, yeah, that kind of stuff. That's what I'm
Mhm.
doing because it strengthens the tendons.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be super strong, but for functional reasons, for health reasons, longevity, to me, that's, and you know what, the research, it tells you like that's the best for
Yeah.
longevity. Yes.
As far as, I mean, I don't know about you, Jody, but Jed, Mark, myself, the way that we used to lift before, heavy ground and pound, and like joints ache, and we can't
Yeah.
lift like how it was. I mean, I suffer injuries, so did Mark, a couple of them. Did you go through any injuries throughout your bodybuilding strength, powerlifting, and into this functional training as well too?
I have, my knees are a bit worn out. Thankfully, not bad, but they're a little bit. I mean, because I do feel them from time to time. Then my low back, is kind of displaced slightly. Also my shoulder, but nothing serious.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's definitely from the days of pounding. And I used to have bad tendonitis before, but it went away once I didn't go as heavy. So thankfully, some guys are like, they need
Mm.
knee replacement, need hip
Oh.
replacement. So thankfully, in my mind, I'm kind of like, I can't keep going like this. 'Cause I'm gonna
Hmm.
just break myself. But like Ronnie Coleman, he just literally lifted himself into the, he just kept training to
And he
pound,
still wants to.
literally broke himself in half. So
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I can't be doing that. So I kind of was backing off already because I was training really heavy, definitely in my 30s, all the
Mhm.
way for almost 10 years. So
Oh,
early
yeah.
40s, I'm like, so you started feeling the back, a little bit in the knees. I'm like, ooh, what's going on? Because before you don't feel nothing, you're like, I'll do this all day, right? But yeah,
Sure.
Did you mitigate any of your injuries like with peptides, the BPC and TB 500 or
oh
anything?
yeah, I'm on that right now. Yeah, BPC
Mm.
157 T. Yeah, this stuff works very well.
And you're
Yeah,
doing TRT,
yeah, I've been on
right?
TRT. Yep, been on TRT since early 40s. Yeah.
And what's your dose on that right now?
It's interesting. It used to be 200 milligrams a week,
Mm.
Cypionate, right? But I was heavier. I was like 230. And then when I started to get leaner, my level started going up. My doctor's like, are you like, what's going on? I said, I don't know.
Mm.
What I found out is, so when you get leaner, right, because your fat percentage, that was probably like 15%, 60%. Fat is inflammatory.
Mm.
So the higher your fat percentage, the more it's going to pretty much just destroy that testosterone. It doesn't matter you're injecting it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And even naturally forget it. And that's what's been happening a lot lately,
I
to a
see.
lot of younger people. But so I had to lower my dose to like 80 milligrams of, that's what I'm thinking now
Wow.
because
That's
because
so
I'm
low.
That gets you at like
I just
the
have coming down.
1,000 nanogram per deciliter.
I'm sorry?
Your
Where are you
levels
at?
when you get your blood work done.
It's like 11, 1200.
That's
Wow.
What?
dang.
That's
This
amazing.
guy's getting
Jed's
very
disappointed.
intrigued right now.
But I had to take 200 milligrams for that same amount when I was 40 pounds heavier. So because I'm leaner, I don't have to take
So
that
now you're running
much.
about 80.
Yeah,
And
80
then
a
what
week.
what
I take
about
40 and
AIs?
40.
You doing any AIs at all?
No, you don't need to take AIs.
Yeah, because you're
If
going so
you're
low.
taking less than 200 or around it, you shouldn't have to.
Well,
That
with
whole
being
thing,
lean as well too, like the estrogen conversion doesn't happen as rampantly when you are a lot leaner in comparison to when you are heavier. So like for
yeah,
a few
exactly.
guys, I mean, I would recommend that they get into a little bit more shape first before doing like testosterone at a performance level.
Mm. That's pretty good, dude. 80 a
80 a week,
week.
40 every 3 days. Oh, sorry, every 4 days. Every 4 days they take 40. That's
Every
it.
fourth day, 40.
That's it.
Wow.
That's what I've been doing for like the last 5 years. But
And
Stretches it out.
it's like the
and
bottles dose at like 200 or 250.
I'm sorry.
The bottles dose at like 200 or 250.
Yeah,
Oh, so you're just doing like a little bit done.
yeah, very little.
Wow.
Yeah. The funny the estrogen thing. So like it was yeah, like 10 years ago. My estrogen was, you go to your doctor, they say, oh, I shouldn't be higher than like 60 or 70, right? For men. That's completely wrong, dude. That's if your doctor tells you that for a guy, that's wrong as wrong could be. It's totally wrong. I started, and then my doctor was giving me a Rimidex,
Mm-hmm.
and it says on the bottle, take one per day, which is almost suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because when I contact this guy, his name is Jay Campbell. He's like a testosterone guy,
Yeah.
it's all about male optimization, right? Super smart. He's not a doctor, but he knows way more than doctors. He's super smart and he's super like, to the point, truthful, right? And I contact, he goes, dude, he goes, what are you doing? You're gonna kill yourself. Like you could take a quarter of that one, so 0.25, start with that, and then wait 3-4 days.
Mm.
You could take another one if you even needed to. But yeah, 0.25, not 1 milligram every single day. My joints are dry. I felt like crap. I felt weak.
What was
Like
your
I was
numbers, your
like,
estrogen numbers?
it was at 80 and they want to bring it down
To
more.
lower.
Yeah, like
Oh,
30. Like my doctor, I said, I mean, I didn't know, right? You could say, oh, estrogen has caused all these problems, right? You know how much estrogen is now? It's like 200, 220.
you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And my
doesn't
doctor tells
if it's
me,
in
we
relation
better
to the
monitor
level of
that.
testosterone, it should be
Right.
okay.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's the signs that you're
Crazy.
getting
Yeah.
that you try to mitigate it with. It
Mm.
it doesn't, yeah, like you were saying, your estrogen to testosterone ratio, it
Yeah.
what I was having this argument or this conversation with somebody is general practitioners or PCPs in comparison to sports athlete type doctors,
Yes.
way different,
They don't know
way
what they're
different.
talking
They
about.
don't know.
They don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
like I said, my doctor's like, "Oh, we better monitor it." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "I don't need anything, because I'm like, do I look like I'm fat? Like I have no like gyno or any of those things." Where before I was like, "Oh, you gotta take it because of the gyno, and then you get fat." Like,
Yeah.
that's probably because your diet. That has nothing to do with estrogen. Because estrogen is protective. Like you need estrogen, even cholesterol. It's protective. But people think, "Oh, it's bad. It's bad." No, it's not bad. It's only bad if your lifestyle is bad.
Yeah.
But they blame it on
Yeah.
on just the numbers. And then like a regular doctor would be, oh, you better lower that. And they give you these freaking meds and your body's completely screwed up. Yeah. So I personally went through that.
There's definitely a balance. I mean, because it has
Yeah.
to do like a decent amount with like your growth hormone and stuff as well too.
Yeah.
So you're talking about like tendon integrity, joint support, joint pain, synovial fluid between your vertebrae, all that kind of stuff, all
Is it-
related.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you crash that estrogen super hard, like you run into
Everything
all
else.
those issues.
Yeah. Because it's all connected. It affects a lot of different, all the systems in your body. It's not one thing. You change one thing, everything else crashes. It's going to affect all your hormones. Yeah. So I found that out personally. And yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's like last one was 220. And I get blood work every 4 or 5 months.
That's pretty big.
And so
Wow.
yeah, the last
Wow.
one was 220, and I was like,
I just got
Wow.
I feel
blood drawn
like
on
a
Thursday.
champ. Yeah, I don't have any kind of bloating whatsoever at all. Yeah,
Well, that's good, man. It's really good.
I'm kind of curious
not
now, just because you
too
said
old at
that. I
all.
want to see what mine's at when I get my blood work results back.
There really is no limit to what you should. It can vary, of course, from guy to guy. But as long as you don't have any other health issues, whatever, and it's like there's no. It's not like it has to be this or this. It just cannot be too low. It probably shouldn't even be lower than 100. I bet. That's kind of already on the low side if it's below 100.
Mm.
You might have some dry joints and like I was like, man, I was like, this is 40. People are like, oh, you're 40, you're old. Like this, I'm like, I'm freaking, I feel old. Like I'm like, this sucks. But I didn't know. So I, started looking into it and I talked to the guy Jay Campbell. Thank goodness, man. It's
Maybe
crazy.
that was just all a ploy so they can get you on other medication for other things.
Yeah, true.
There's not too many people like yourself that go outside of the box to do a little bit more research in regards to your own personal health and take that into, you know, what do you call that? Like your own body autonomy
Yeah,
and
yeah.
really learn about that versus what the doctors or the people apparently may say. So I'm glad that you do that. And more people should, especially if you're dabbling with testosterone or messing with your hormones. So something for you guys to consider.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you really have to, in this day and age, you really have to take your health into your own hands and don't always listen to what the doctor has to say because their training is very limited too. And doctors can be very arrogant and think especially a general PCV,
Yeah.
they're general for a reason. They don't know everything and and they're only taught what they're taught in the medical school paid for by big pharma, right? So a lot of like perfect, like when I went through like, oh no, your estrogen can't be. It's like that's what they learned, right? So they think that's fact. It's not a fact. It's actually completely wrong. That's crazy. So
Yeah,
yeah, you
that's
gotta take
wild.
if not, you're just gonna probably stay alive, but you're gonna be sickly. That's what it is, right? They say people are living longer these days. They're they're living longer. But they're existing. They're not really the quality of life is not there because there's a lot of things even like statins, right? Like all the stuff doesn't really work that well. But
Mm.
your doctor will tell you, oh, you got to go on this, you got to go on that, and then you're just kind of you're just vegging out every day. You don't feel that good because you're on these different meds,
Yeah.
right? You feel like crap, you probably look like crap, and then if your diet's bad, you got a recipe for like you're just gonna be rotting. You're just slowly.
So
They're
you're
keeping you
just
alive, but you're just
you're living
rotting
an extra
slowly.
10, 20 years, but it's just crap quality. It's just
It's not
nothing
quality.
there.
It's not
Yeah.
living. It's just existing.
Yeah,
That's
you're just
why.
existing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and I'm like, I gotta live well over 100. I'm 54. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old. I'm like, I cannot be dying at 80. That's not acceptable. And the way I look at it, I gotta
Yeah.
be. I want to live to honestly like 120, and I used to joke to my wife a couple years ago that, oh, we'll just live to 100, babe, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm like dead serious. And I know that it's totally capable. I know it's possible. Absolutely possible because there is so much money nowadays. Because people know, people have private people are putting so much
Mhm.
money into anti-aging, the biohacking. So you learn a lot of things like I do red light, I mean, and taking glutathione, I'm taking supplements and, fasting. And I feel great at 54.
Plus, you're a Mongolian.
A
Mongol.
lot can
Asians,
be done.
Asian, they
You
do
know,
have a thing, right? Asians
I
tend
think I
to
probably
Well
have some
reasoned.
good
tend to live
genes,
longer,
but genes are only 20% of it.
tend to
The
live
rest
longer.
of
Yeah.
it, and people use that excuse to, oh, I have
Mm,
bad genes, blah, blah. I say, it's only 20% of it. Like
Hmm.
80% is lifestyle. So it's
mm,
like you can overcome bad genetics. You can't
mm.
just use that excuse. So,
Or
Yeah.
even like we've talked about so many times, the stuff that they put in our food, water, in
oh,
the air,
God.
everything we
Oh, man.
eat and breathe and stuff, like the levels of testosterone from the 80s until now, it's really
It's dropped.
depreciated
Yeah.
over
Dropped.
30%. And that's the new norm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe that you guys should all take your health into your own hands and be like, do
Sure.
what feels good?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think like especially the food, the quality of food is just it's just not there
You go
anymore.
into any supermarket, I swear, like
Yeah.
70% of that food is absolute crap. They're selling you
It's
crap.
so crap.
Like
Yeah.
I mean, all that processed stuff, it's all crap.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and
like with the hormone stuff, we are just saying like we have like the
they're
like
hormone
the
disruptor. They're
yeah, well you have
disrupting.
like BPA, right? Originally actually a contraceptive,
Yeah, it's crazy.
but
It
they
is.
found
Oh,
that it hardens
BPA.
plastic. So hey, like let's stick it in plastic and make it harder, and it's no longer now a pharmaceutical drug as a contraceptive, but that's what it was originally.
Mm.
Yeah.
Microplastics and everything,
Yeah,
red
Mike.
dye
I was
and
just gonna
everything.
say,
So
yeah,
speaking of food and
red
diet,
dye.
so what kind of diet, or I should say lifestyle, are you on currently to stay healthy?
I'm eating. It's almost like a carnivore-ish diet in a way, like because I'll eat carbs here and there, but I'm fasting. I eat like one big meal and a smaller meal, but I'm eating like grass-fed beef,
Mm. Yeah.
primarily, about 120 grams a day, and protein powder, of course. But that's it. I really don't eat much of anything else, and I'll take in like Vitargo to where my carb to work out because it's so efficient. It's like
Yeah.
for people like they think, oh, carbs make fat. No, dude, carbs make fat. You make yourself fat,
Yeah.
not
And
carbs.
yeah.
How you gonna get like they're like, oh, but like you can't take it if you're trying to get diet. No, that's not true because if you use carbs efficiently when you need it, which it says it on the bottle too. It says if you don't train, don't use it. You
When do
can
you take it though? Like
before
right
I work
before?
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just take it before I work out, 2 scoops, and then by the time it's done with the workout, it's out of your system. There's no carbs to make you fat. It's completely gone.
Mm.
So you need carbs. 'Cause how are you going to go zero carbs and get a good workout? You're not. You're just going to be, you know what I mean? Like you can drag yourself to a workout. You can do slow walking or running, but you can't do anything intense. You're
Yeah.
not going to do heavy weights with no carbs in your system. Whether it's carbs, whether it's Vitargo or some other,
Yeah, go ahead
food
and
carb.
do explain to the people what Vitargo is in comparison to something like a waxy maize, because that's what took
I
before.
took that too. I know because yeah, it's like the waxy maize is kind of like one molecule below the Vitargo. So the bar is like the processed version of it. But yeah, it's a special barley actually grown in Sweden, and it's actually all over the world. Like a lot of strongmen use it. A lot of Olympic athletes use it, but you don't know about it because they have their own branding in the other countries. But
Mm.
it's worldwide for Target. But it's all originally from Sweden. It's a processed barley and it acts like a complex carb. It goes in 10 minutes or less, doesn't bloat your stomach. No, I never had diarrhea from it like I did from waxy maize because everybody was like waxy
Yeah.
maize, right? I
Yeah.
took it. It's like looks like
Powder.
yeah, it's super yeah, it's just powdery. It's like and you
Yeah.
drink it like
And I got so
it's
much
kind of
gas
like
from that
nothing,
one.
but
I got
everybody's like
diabetes.
waxy maize. I'm like, it doesn't really do anything though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was being sold because I think they just went off. The science was just like in theory, it should have worked. It should go in the body because they're big molecules, but it never was tested on humans ever,
I
ever.
see.
That's why it would get diarrhea, and it really wouldn't do that good a job of filling, of filling up your glycogen stores. But the targets have been universally tested on humans many times.
Mm.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
that's why I love it. I've been using it since 2009. Yeah.
And you're a sponsored athlete with Vitargo, or you just love it so much you wear it all the time?
Semi-sponsored. I
Every
was an
time
athlete
you work
sponsor
out.
before, but now I'm like semi-sponsored because I'm
Okay.
not active, but I promote it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know he'd always we do some workouts, and then we'd be getting done, and he'd always be like, "Hey, bro, I'm gonna stand up here. Just take a picture right here." And and I was like, because he had a shirt on, right? I'm like, "Oh my god, Vitargo again." I was like, "Yeah, okay, all right." I'm like,
Yeah,
here.
as long as I've known you, I've always had the Targo shirts.
He
Oh yeah, I'm
always
the
he'll always do
guy.
like a post, like a
Yeah,
post of it.
I'm the
If it
Targo
ain't
guy.
you, then it's Joe Tong with the
Oh,
Targo all
Joe,
the
yeah,
time.
Joe, yeah,
Yeah.
Joe's gonna introduce me to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Funny, interesting.
yeah, it's an
Good
awesome
guy.
supplement.
That was one of the first ones that came out after Waxy Maze, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Vitargo.
Yeah.
That was before Glycofuse and all that stuff.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's like
And the cyclic dextrin.
yeah,
It was before that.
it's like 2008 or so.
Yeah.
around there. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, was it 8?
I just remember it like originally when it first came out, it was so expensive.
Yeah, it was really
that was
expensive,
the
yeah.
one thing. It was like a 2 pound tub for like $50 or something.
Yeah, it was pretty expensive.
And I was like still in high school, and I'm just like, oh, I can't afford this.
Because 2007, I was using Waxy Maze.
I was using a loaf of white bread.
It cost me.
Rice. I was using white rice.
Yeah, I was doing that with dry milk. That was my pre-workout.
Oh man.
What, bread and milk?
Yeah, bread and dry milk powder.
Mm.
Oh
And
wow.
just do the powder as my
Sounds
protein
Cheese
good.
too?
shake.
Did you have cheese too?
No, no cheese.
Where'd you
Joking.
get that?
The government commodities comes in a big white. And
I was gonna
black
say
box
that's why I
for
said
free.
cheese.
Government
Subsidized.
So
cheese.
that's why
Yeah.
that's why I was like cheese too,
Government
because
The
peanut
orange
butter.
juice, though.
You're
the
going
orange
down
juice
the
was
list.
absolutely disgusting.
Oh gosh, yeah.
The cheese wasn't bad, but I didn't.
This was the white labels, right?
Yeah, the white labels.
Interesting, yeah.
U.S. commodities. You go fill up your cart once a month because you're
Do they even have that anymore?
I have no idea.
I know it's not
Fortunately, I
for. I
don't
know
have
it's
to
not for
use it
U.S.
anymore.
citizens anymore. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh.
But we had so much of this dry milk, and I remember like looking at the label, and I was just like, "Hey, protein, cool." And I was just mixed
The
a ton of
dry
that,
milk, yeah,
and
that was
my protein shake when I first started.
yeah. Well, I used to do some dry milk back in the late '80s because there was not really too much protein powders available. They had one brand, it was called MLO, and it was in a can, kind of like a big coffee can style. And it literally had a metal top with a plastic cover, so you had to use a
Wow.
can opener to open up this
Oh
this
my
huge
gosh.
metal top. Yeah, it was sealed metal top. And on the front of it had like a football player, had like a gymnast, had like a guy, like a weightlifter, so because it wasn't bodybuilding specific back then, right? It was more sports.
Sports.
Yeah, and it was, man, this was like, I mean, it was literally like if you took chalk and you just grind it all up, and it was just like that. You could not, well, for one, we didn't have shaker cups back then.
No.
So you couldn't just mix it. You had to blend it. And even when
Oh
you
my
blended it,
gosh.
it was one of those where you put it in, you blend it,
It's still
and then
And
you
it
pour
wouldn't
it.
mix.
No, and when you pour it out, and there's like big dry clumps at the bottom, like
even when
dry.
you blend it.
Oh,
And you blend, you're like,
That's
what
that's
happened?
crazy.
So you have to blend, and then
Scrape
pour a
with
little
a
bit,
spoon.
and then blend, and then
Oh my God.
yeah, and it was like,
That's crazy.
oh man, it was, and it. I think they had vanilla flavor,
which was still
and
disgusting.
I think there was vanilla flavor. Like I mean, it was kind of, I think that's all it was. It wasn't even any selection. And then yeah, and I mean, what was the main? It's probably like a lot of it was probably like it was like milk protein. They had some egg and they had soy in there, I think, also a little bit, So it was crap, right? But that's
That's
kind of
all
what
you
you
had.
had.
Yeah, everyone's got it so easy now
So-
with the protein powders. They all taste good and they mix well.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Like I remember the very first protein powder I ever got was like I think it was like Weeder brand from like Kmart or something. It came in like this very small tub too. It was only about this big,
God.
and it was disgusting. Like you open it up, you're just like, okay, whatever. I gotta do it.
Well, like you remember when the weight gainers
Oh god.
came out and they were in the big like dog food
Dog
bags,
food bag.
They were like
God.
the 5 pound, and then those scoopers were like this, right? And you got to do like 4 scoops with the big scoop,
It was
right?
insane.
And then like I remember I used to do them and then lay on the couch for an hour and just like suffering, like I gotta do it if I want to get big, and I'd sit there in
get
pain because
so
my stomach was
bloated.
like, yeah, I just drank like 1,500. I think it was a 2,000 cal. If you did the
Yeah.
serving, because they would say have milk with the 4 scoops, and it came out to like 1,900 calories or something.
Oh my gosh.
And then I remember I had to switch over from milk to I couldn't really do the milk because it was really painful. So when I did water with it, it wasn't as bad, but I only was getting like 900 calories or something like that. But whatever,
These fucking kids are so spoiled with all this shit they have to use as far as supplements and protein powders and all this and the flavors and my free pebble of protein and all that shit. Like we had like chocolate
free
and
pebble.
vanilla and it didn't taste like any of that.
Yeah.
And that's all we had to deal with.
Well, designer body.
And pre-workout, there
or
was
designer
what?
protein,
NO
designer
Explode,
protein.
and that was it. And that stuff was carbonated and would mess up your stomach if you took it wrong.
Instant diarrhea.
Yeah, that was the first nitric oxide
Yeah.
pre-workout.
Oh yeah, those blowouts. Yeah. Blowout central.
Now they got all this fancy
protein
shit.
Well,
was
metrics.
diarrhea.
See,
Oh,
metrics. I think
Yeah.
I have to say that metrics.
I like the
That was a
canned
good one.
ones though.
It tasted good.
The RTDs and the cans. I really
They
like
were the ones that really blew up the protein game though.
That's kind of
Yeah.
Like
smart,
metrics. Then designer protein came out.
Yes.
And they were the ones, and I remember they were the first ones where you really truly could take the scoop, put it in a shaker cup, and it would mix, and you
Instant
could
mix.
drink it.
Yeah.
They were like the first ones, and I was like,
Wow.
I remember that was so exciting for me. I was
Heaven's
like, I don't
gates
have to
open
blend
when you-
this.
Revolution.
Like I was like, what? And I'd be like, dude, what? I didn't have, it saves me all this time because I have to go to a blender, do the whole thing, right? Then you have to wash this
That's
blender
so
for the next
crazy,
time
dude.
and scrape it and clean it.
That's
I
so
mean, so
crazy.
much time savings,
Wow.
right? But I remember shaker cups back then. The first shaker cup, if I am correct, Tupperware made it. And
My grandma had the
Tupperware
Tupperware.
made it, but it was only, I think it was only a 6, or was it 20 ounce? Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
But it had a, Tupperware was like, the
You know,
peel
it's-
off lids. That was the first one, but it was 20 ounce. So you couldn't go mega size on those, You couldn't do the mega. You'd have to do like 2 of them. You know what I mean?
My
Oh my
grandma had
God.
those, and it was like supposed to be, according to her, it was like specifically made to make butter, like butter and buttermilk. So you stick.
So
like
maybe
the,
that's what it was
you
for.
stick the milk that you get from the milkman with the fucking cream in it, and you pour it in
Well, it
there,
makes
and it
sense.
separates it, and you get the butter, and you have the buttermilk, and that was what the shaker was for.
Yeah, I don't think they were
It
making
wasn't-
it for like
It
bodybuilders
wasn't for
because it came out in like
bodybuilders, no.
1990 or something. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they were like doing it for cooking. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I saw that and I was like, oh, this is perfect, And I had that shaker cup for a long time. I still remember it. It was
Remember when
blue.
guys would just use mason jars too? That was like a thing. for a
Oh,
little
weird.
while.
I never did that. I don't like the lid thing.
Yeah,
just-
it's
no,
separate.
I'm
I
Not
don't-
into
I don't
it.
get
yeah,
it.
Not into it.
Cool for a piggy bank or something.
I guess, yeah.
Automatic blender bottles
Yes, I've seen those.
Oh no, when those came out, those things were cool.
with the little motor in it.
Yep. Oh, I love those things.
Lazy.
I love those things. Oh yeah. Well, lazy when you're doing like freaking 8 meals a day, dude. I was like, forget about it. I was trying to find the easiest way. 4-man grills, when the 4-man grill came out, it was like, oh man.
Yeah. Foreman grill.
Anything that would save time, I was just like, yes, like let's try it. But that food always came out kind of dry,
Oh yeah.
Turkey
chicken
burgers
always
were good
kinda
on
came
it.
out
Turkey
dry.
burgers came out good on it.
I guess the burgers weren't too bad actually, but if you
Chicken
did the
was-
breast, that
yeah.
just didn't. You'd have to cook it open, I think,
Yeah.
and
So
leave it.
dry. Yeah.
Oh, I always
Fat
shove it
coming
down,
out.
make
Yeah.
it faster. I'm like,
Yeah, and it would drain.
yeah.
Oh, and the worst was if you didn't clean that drain after like 3 days.
Oh.
Like I remember sometimes I would forget because I think there was one. It was underneath it. It was hidden, right?
Yeah.
Because they had one that was in the front. You'd see it.
Yeah.
It was the one that was underneath it. You forget, like you do it. And I remember walking in my kitchen, and I was like, "Why is there a dead animal in here?" Like I was like, "What? Did a rat die?" And I'm running around looking everywhere, could not find it. Right. And then I don't know. I just remember. I think I probably turned it on or something, and I was like, "Wait a minute!" And I was like, "Oh my god!" And it
Oh.
had probably been there for like 5 days, right? And it
Oh
was
my
all the grease.
gosh.
It was that grease trap. I was
Oh.
like, "Oh," I said, "Okay, I can't forget about this anymore."
I feel like that's just like a bodybuilder problem in general. Like if you like leave your shaker bottle in your car or
Oh,
something.
don't ever do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
oh, yeah,
just
don't do that.
epic fail.
Yeah, I think
Everything
everybody
smells
learned
terrible.
that lesson at least once,
Yeah.
and then you realize and you throw it away. You're like, "Yeah, this is done. This is gone." Like, because I know I had tried cleaning it, and you doing everything, and you do everything,
Never
and then
get
you
that smell.
nope, you do it again, and you're just like, you know what?
Never get that
It's
smell out of
ruined.
there.
This is gone. Time to throw it away. Yeah, because Max Muscle, I used to get a ton of those shaker cups. They used to give them free. They were kind of cheaper, but they used to give those free all the time. I had so many Max Muscle, and I worked for them too.
I forgot
actually,
about
for a
Max
little
Muscle
while,
until
up
you
in the
just said
mainland.
it.
Okay.
I worked for
yeah.
Max Muscle back in the 90s.
That was
so.
one of the friendlier proteins that I could drink. The
Max Muscle
the
protein,
one
yeah.
that was in the tub.
It was pretty good pricing, and
Yeah.
they had, yeah. Are they still around?
I don't
I
know.
don't think so.
They had a
They had a small
newsletter.
comeback
and-
on Island there a few years ago, but I don't
Yeah.
think it lasted long.
So I met the owners, but I mean, I did some stuff for some photo shoot back. I went to their headquarters, like when I lived in Cali. They were cool guys. I mean, those guys killed it for. There was a time where those guys were killing it. I mean,
Oh yeah,
in the
the
'90s, they were
magazine,
they were killing
they're
it
all over the place.
everywhere. Max Muscle, yeah. And they're
Looks cool.
all
I
the
love it.
clothing. They had the tops, right, with the big cut open tops, and then the tank
Those
tops
baggy
and the
pants.
bag. They made
Oh my
all the
gosh.
bodybuilding clothes. They had the little Max Muscle label on it.
What were the
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
what was the big the poofy pants called? I want
Parachute
Yeah,
pants? I don't
something
know.
yeah,
skin.
those poofy
Oh,
pants. Yeah,
Skins. Well,
Skins.
Skins were doing
that's a
tights.
different company.
But
Skins were.
there
Oh,
was a
Zuma.
brand.
Yeah. No, there was a there was like a Brazilian brand or something that came out.
Some brand,
Zuma.
something. I want to say like something skins or something, but
It was
I
such a
can't
weird
remember at
outfit.
the moment. But yeah, yeah.
I remember getting it because
Ronnie Coleman
I
pulled it
bought
off
a
though.
whole set one time. It was like a brown one,
Tank top,
kind of
you got these
cool.
puffy
No, it was like the
pants. It's
top.
hilarious.
Yeah, I wore the top with the tank top underneath it, and then the baggy pants, and it was like pajamas, dude.
Yeah.
Like it literally was like pajamas.
But it made
These
a
are-
big difference because you guys were like 230 pounds. Now put that
gotta
on
be
like 100,
big.
Well,
like 60-pound guy.
yeah,
They'll just
It
look
looks
yeah,
wrong.
insane.
yeah. You needed.
Yeah.
I think you needed to be at least if you're
230 plus.
if you're
You gotta be
5'10", like
pretty thickly
220,
muscular.
230. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think I
As
was
long as you're
barely there
muscular.
when I first got it. I
I
was
had
just cutting it.
I had one of the
that was
like
bodybuilding
the
outfit back then.
That was
Yeah, it
it.
was.
Puffy
T
pants with a
Michael.
tank
T
top.
Michael.
Yeah, T Michael.
Yeah, with the hair.
T
yeah,
Michael.
crazy
T
hair.
Michael.
That's
T
the
Michael
one.
was
T
fun. And they had
Michael.
all the neon colors.
Yep.
Yeah.
T Michael. I never had that outfit, but
I had a T
all
Michael
the
shirt.
magazines, yep,
Yeah.
they're all wearing those outfits.
It was
Yeah.
that,
Well, because
that was Mike
Ronnie rocked
Christensen,
it.
I think.
So
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was because it was the 80s.
Yeah.
It was the 80s time, yeah.
Well, everybody looked at the magazines,
90s,
right?
80s,
And
Or
you were
Ronnie
looking.
and
follow.
Craig
Yeah,
Titus,
they're all,
Yeah.
all
they're
those
all
guys.
wearing that stuff.
They all
Yeah.
rocked it. Yeah.
Flex
Yeah, it
Wheeler,
was
Usually with a
popular.
pair of
Crystal
sunglasses and a
Mirror.
backwards hat.
Oh
You know?
yeah, at
Very
Venice
cool.
Beach, man. Venice Beach was
Venice Beach.
because I lived in Venice. I moved to Venice Beach in '96, so it was kind of a cool thing.
That's
I went out there.
episode. That's another
Oh, that
episode.
way I talked about it before, and and all the guys were there, man. All the dudes were there, and Titus and Flex, and it was a pretty wild time. So interesting guys. Opens your eyes.
You guys came up on a good time of bodybuilding. Like now it's not the same compared to like when you guys were in the midst of bodybuilding. Like we talk about all of these. It's past. Well,
The
yeah,
golden
it's
era.
after the golden era, but
Yeah.
it's kind of
Oh, this is
golden.
a whole
It's
new
like
era. This is
yeah.
the social media and all these, we talked about all these other divisions now, and it's completely different.
That's why I like your guys come up on the bodybuilding, and when you guys were doing it, it's way more something to appreciate than
Yeah, I mean, some people will say it's better now. Some people will say it was better then. I don't know. There was things that it was missing then. I mean, there was
Mhm.
certain things that they have now that I kind of
Yep.
wish. Oh, I wish we had that now. But there's also things now where I'm kind of like, yeah, like we talked about, it waters it down a lot now, right?
It's pretty watered down.
You
It's
want
very
you want
watered
men's
down.
wellness
not-
to come to America, don't you?
was-
Oh my God.
It's not the same. Yeah.
That's wild, dude.
Mark's next category is a
That's
comeback.
wild. Jody wants to see me on stage, guys. Sorry.
He told me I was beautiful.
He has a
last week.
crush, but it's okay. He has a man
Gay.
crush on me. He likes older men. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right, Jody.
Stop
He's always
touching-
admired me. See,
I know
now he's getting
he's always
getting
looked up
nervous.
to you, but
He
now
always
that,
gets
now the
nervous.
truth's
He can't hide it. It's okay though. That's why he's still here. He's been
I
been
know.
at this. He can't. He won't leave. He won't leave. I've tried to get rid of him. He won't
He's a
go.
second because I was here.
No,
From,
he won't go. Jody's like, you're not getting rid of me ever. I'm stuck.
He's a
here."
feral
I'm
cat.
stuck here.
Like
I
the rest of
I
the feral
thought many
cats
times.
here.
I thought, this is it. He's
I
gonna
am
be
the
gone.
gum on your
Nope,
shoe.
Nope, he's not leaving. He's not
Always
going
comes home.
I know. Always comes home. Yeah. Come back home to Papa.
Prodigal son.
Come back home to Papa. Yeah.
Before we wrap up today's show, is there anything like you could tell the people out there that you would or would not or would advise them to do moving forward, progressing from a bodybuilder's stance, going into like being functional training and more health and wellness for your longevity of life?
Well, definitely once you retire from bodybuilding, you have to downsize. I mean, if you want to be healthy and you want to live as long as possible, you have to downsize. There's just no way around them. You look at all the bodies from way back when they're still alive now, like they're all lean and they're pretty much a lot of them do functional fitness.
Dorian Yates.
Dorian Yates
Yes.
is lean, does functional fitness. Kevin Levrone, lean, does functional fitness. A lot of people know like that's just the most efficient thing to do if you want longevity. If you want strong heart, strong body, strong joints, and being mobile, that's the best way to train. If you want to live the longest possible. by far.
Yeah.
That's what I do, and it's worked great for me. I
And
feel great.
what about gear and stuff? Like, do you think for people that are wanting to live long, do you think that there's a certain dose that you should never exceed, or do you feel like you could get away, guys can get away with if they want to run maybe, a little higher amount for a period of time? Maybe they're looking for a little bit of benefit, performance benefit at an older age, beyond just TRT, you know what I mean? Like, do you think that that's putting yourself at risk if you do up the doses a little bit?
I mean, depending on what dose you're talking about, of
Yeah.
course. But yeah, I mean, you definitely can do it if you want to continue to compete when you're older, but it's not really a good idea. I mean, your body's it just gets to be where it just doesn't tolerate things. It's just not as durable. Especially with, of course, your heart and then, blood pressure, the red blood count. That's like a big thing, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of taking a risk. So the older you get and you keep, if you want a high dosage you want to compete, whatever, you're taking a risk.
Yeah.
That you might die. You might have a heart attack. Absolutely.
Yes. I like the perspective that you took, you doing your own biohacking, optimizing mitochondrial function, digestion, and all of that versus thinking that you need more PEDs to have that cutting edge. So thank you for that as well.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm glad. Um,
Well, and also stress management, right? Because we kind of,
Stress management is like a big one, especially in this day and age.
because were you high stress at your job, you think?
I wouldn't say I was high stress, but there was a certain amount of stress that I carried because of, just being the responsible when you're in patrol. Like, when you go out there, it's like you don't think about it, but it's kind of like you're at this level because like you just never know. You could be sitting, the next thing you get this call, and then you're like someone's pointing a gun at you or something. So your mind is always kind of high up there. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm stressed. I didn't think about it, but there was a lot of stress that I carried on a just day-to-day basis that when I retired, I'm like,
You're kind of able to turn it
I'm
off
like,
finally.
wow, this is like, yeah, I didn't realize how much I was carrying.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
managing stress is super important because it can give you cancer. Yeah, it can give you cancer for sure. Because if you have chronic stress,
Yeah.
if you have chronic stress day after day after day, and you can't mitigate, you can't, like your body will become acidic. And I mean, you're basically your cells gonna, I mean, your cell function is gonna go down because all the, there's bad hormones release and you'll give yourself cancer. It's very possible. Yeah.
Interesting.
On top of, well, like you said, the pollution, the chemicals, and then if you have a bad diet, you have a bad lifestyle,
Oh, yeah.
it's a perfect recipe to get really sick. In this
Yeah,
day and age, it's one of it happening because cancer is my dad has cancer. Like I don't really talk about it, but yeah, I mean, so you know,
Yeah.
it can happen in this day and age because of all the other factors too, the pollution, the toxicity, foods, the chemicals. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Like Jody said, the plastics. Yeah.
Yeah, we live in a crazy time, my friend. Well, thank you for coming on again, Ernie.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
I think we kind of hit the mark pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
I think so. We it was pretty good. Went over everything again, so I don't think we missed anything. But right on, brother. Well, I'll probably see you in another 50 years on the show. I'll be like 105.
That'll be
And then
awesome.
we'll see, we'll see what we're what's going on then. We
I
can
plan
talk
to still
about
be
it.
around, going strong.
Oh, geez, yeah, that'd be great, right? All right, well, thanks for joining us again, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Paradise Pump. Aloha.